Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada, Founder-Acharya of ISKCON. So before we go into discussing chapter 6, that's what we were discussing last week also. Let's do some prayers. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so I'll share my screen. All right, so we stopped at chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, verse number 4. So we discussed about Arudha stage and Aruksha stage, Yoga Arudha, Yoga Aruksha. So Yoga Arudha is the advanced stage, Yoga Aruksha is the beginner stage of yoga system, or yoga practice. So verse number 5. Uddaret atmanatmanam natmanam avashadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripur atmanaha. Let's see the translation. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Okay, so if the next few verses will be talking about how the mind can be both friend and an enemy. Okay, so we all know that the mind is always, flickery. It's always sanchala, means it's restless. Why it is restless? That's how it is designed. Mind is like that only. Unless we practice the mind, unless we train the mind in a superior, under the superior dictation, under the superior dictation, unless we do that by training the mind. And let me rephrase it. Unless we train the mind under the control of the superior object, for example, Paramatma or Bhagavad Gita, or the Acharyas, under the guidance of some superior authority or superior object, unless we do that, we won't be able to control the mind, right? And the yoga practice itself means controlling the mind. That's the main idea, right? Before you start Ashtanga yoga practice, there is a prerequisite that it is assumed that you already had controlled your mind and senses. What happens is when senses are seeing the sense object, so the eyes are seeing some gulab jamun, for example, then it gets attracted to it until or unless you see, you're not attracted at this stage because you are not seeing that sense object. You're not attracted, obviously, but in your mind, you're not thinking about the gulab jamun. But when you are looking at the gulab jamun, then only you're feeling the sensation that I wanted to enjoy that sensual pleasure. I wanted to eat that now. This is just a good example. So there is a Brahmana. His name is Villamangal Thakur, and he was born and brought up in a great rich Brahmanical family, and he was a very good guy until he found a prostitute called Sintamani who was giving pleasure to him. Then he fell in love with her so much so that one day what happened was his father died and he as a son has to do the final rites, the final rituals to his father. And what he was doing though during the process of doing the final rites, his mind was so restless. See, when you are in India, if you're born in Brahmana family, then you will be taught all these Vedic hymns and mantras and how to perform yagnas, and you will be given so much Vedic knowledge that you know what is body, what is soul, and how to surrender to the Supreme Lord, you will be given as basic knowledge. Okay. But in non-Brahminical family in India, that is not the case. We won't be taught all the Vedic mantras or the knowledge, Vedic knowledge, or even Bhagavad Gita, unless you're interested and pious and you study on your own. That's different. But in Brahminical family, this is kind of day-to-day life. They will be taught all this Carnatic music and learning musical instrument. These are part of their lifestyle, correct? So it is expected and also assumed that Vivemangal Thakur was, especially it's not today, day-to-day's thing, like it is not like today, like I'm talking about like 10 days ago or 100 days ago or last year. This is, I'm talking about many decades ago. Vivemangal Thakur, when he existed, that time the Vedic system was even followed widely and traditionally. Even now also it is being followed, but not that much, because we are entering into this Kali Yuga. When Kali Yuga progresses, it's only degrading. When time is uh, passing in Kali Yuga, the situation is only degrading, it's only getting worse. Correct? We also see 100 years ago, we saw things how people were worshipping the Devi Devatas, or how they worshipped the Supreme Lord Krishna. Everything was so much so in a very disciplined manner. But now you see people are so into following Western culture. They're not interested in following Dharma. They think adharma is actual modern dharma, right? So, like, even if you go to big cities like Delhi or Mumbai or Chennai, you see people are so much so into this following Vedic lifestyle, and what they eat and how they dress, everything has become so uh, untraditional, uncivilized. We say that it is civilized, but it is not civilized. It's just so-called civilization. It's not actually properly civilized. Civilized means what is body and what is soul, and who you are, how you should surrender to the Lord, and how you should respect to all living entities, not just human beings or not just your own family members. These are the things that you should know. If you're considered being civilized person. And also the persons in modern cities, even in today's villages also, you see these days that they wear these pants, right? It's so tight that the air cannot breathe only. Mm. If you're sweating and it's not passing out, the sweat is not passing out through the holes of the clothes, because there are no tiny holes in the clothes you're wearing, because it's like very tight cotton, not even cotton pants, they are like polyester or whatever kind of material. Even if it has some percentage of cotton in it, it's not fully cotton. When Mahatma Gandhi always protested against this Western kind of lifestyle, and he always encouraged this cotton clothes. And this is what we are supposed to wear for Indian atmosphere. In foreign countries, like Western countries, they have to wear something suitable for their body. Because not suitable for their body, sorry, suitable for their atmosphere, for the environment factors like weather and the area where they are residing, like geographical location. Like if you go to if you see polar bear, if you go to Arctic Ocean and all, like not Arctic Ocean, say if you go to North Pole and things like that, wherever it's too cold, if you see animals live, who like people who live there, or animals, the animals living there, their body is structured in a way it can manage the cold weather there. And if we copy that, if we imitate that sitting in Chennai hot weather, it's not going to work out. Correct. Similarly, the Western culture, whatever that we are trying to follow, it won't work for our Indian Vedic system. And in fact, Indian Vedic system is actually for all humankind. It is not just for this only for Indians only. It's for everyone. Because you see, we also wear whatever we need to wear during winter weathers, right? Like a winter climate, we also have sweaters and stuff. But again, it's all locally made, and it's not imported. It's not essential also, because we are all trying to get something what is not available. Like if you're not eating seasonal vegetables, if you're not using a seasonal things, like if you're not using your local produce, and not wearing what is suitable for your own weather, the climate, the atmosphere and everything, then the body won't be peaceful, because body will be restless and then mind will become automatically restless. So we have to follow what is uh, appropriate for the time, place, and circumstances of where we are right now. And also we follow in a way that how it is traditionally followed for the right reasons, not just blindly following anything. So coming back to this Vilvamangal Thakur, even though he is supposed to be an Aryan, that means civilized person, he was not behaving in such a way. He was so much in love with this prostitute Chintamani. He wanted to enjoy that sensual pleasure. So he actually was so restless. His mind was so restless. He was just rushing up with the things of this final rites to his departed father. And he was rushing back to prostitute's house. How? In the middle of the night, in the middle of the heavy rain, he was just coming to see her so that he can enjoy the night. And when he was coming, he has to pass through the ocean, not the ocean, sorry, he has to cross over the river. But it's so much in, so it's raining, it's so flooded. So he can't just cross like that. He has to swim through. And he was so ready because his mind was so attracted to this lady. He was he was not bothered about the weather or the departed father or the final rites to be done as a son. He was not bothered about anything at all. He was not focusing on anything, and that nothing bothered him. So the suffering that is giving to his body, he was not taking that as a suffering at all. He was ready to swim over under the heavy rain. He was just swimming across the river to cross over the river to go to the other side of the river bank. And he went to the he approached the lady's house, the compound, the campus. But because it's already late night, she was expecting him, but then realized that no, his father departed. How come he could come and enjoy during this time? So he would not come. Also, it is raining. Definitely, he will not come. So she closed the gate, and also she closed her doors, house doors. She went inside to go to sleep. But because he was so much mad at her, he didn't bother about anything, right? So he already approached her house and looked at the gate being locked, having it locked. So he tried to open, he couldn't open. So what he has to do next is has to jump over the compound wall. Okay. So the fence, jump over the fence. Because it's just so high and he couldn't reach, so he was trying to find a rope. So he found a rope, but it happened to be a snake. He didn't even realize that. He didn't even realize that was a snake. He was just thinking it is a rope, and he put the snake over on the other side of the fence, the compound wall, and he climbed up and jumped it over and went to the door and knocked the door, and she opened the door, and she was so shocked and like she was disgusted because, are you here at this time of the night? And at this time of this situation, like your father departed, it's so heavily raining and it's everywhere, it's flash flooding. You're here to enjoy me? What kind of man are you? What kind of crazy man are you? She was thinking like that, and even she said, look, the love, the amount of love that you have expressed to me, if you have done the same to Lord Sri Krishna, you would have been liberated only. Don't you know this? You're just wasting your time coming and trying to enjoy with me, and all these struggles you have passed now to come to this place. You just even tiny bit of time if you have spent to Krishna, then you would have become peaceful and happy eternally. Don't you know? Do I have to tell you this? I'm a prostitute, you are a brahmana, what is this? Do I have to tell you? Then he realized his mistake suddenly, because that is the sukriti, importance of having sukriti, that the pious deeds when you have done, especially when you have done bhakti in your past lives, it will reap up, it will come in your next lives, because you haven't finished your bhakti totally. So it will come up in the next lives, right? So when it does, through someone or something, you will be remembered, you will be reminded. Not you will be remembered, but of course you will be remembered by Krishna always, but you will be reminded by Krishna. Krishna, he sends someone to you or something to you to remind you that, you know what, wake up, you need to continue with your bhakti practice. Then you will do that. That is what happened in Vilvamangal Thakur. Then he realized his mistake and he poked his eyes, because he doesn't want to see anymore, because of him seeing the sensual objects. He becomes attracted to those things, and he wanted to enjoy. So he don't want to see any woman in his life, because otherwise he will be again spending his rest of the life in bodily pleasure only. He doesn't want that. He wanted the spiritual happiness, and he wanted to dedicate his life to Krishna fully. So he poked his eyes and he lost his eyesight. Now he has become blind. Then he went to the banks of some river, holy river, and sat down and started to write poems about Krishna and sing the glories of Krishna. And he, spent the rest of his life like that only. And he's a famous acharya that way. And he taught so many nice teachings in his poems to all of us. So this is one of the examples that how a man, by controlling his mind, he can achieve perfection, the stage of perfection. And he did that. And he is not Ashtanga yogi. In fact, he is actually a bhakti yogi. But now in these verses, we are talking about Ashtanga yoga. But by practicing bhakti, simply you say that you are surrendering your life to Krishna. You just say only, you're not even doing anything, but you're just simply saying, Krishna will become so attracted to you and will become your servant. We think we are servants of Krishna, but not many of us think that, but we are supposed to be thinking that way. Jivere Swarupa Hoi Krishnera Nityadas. We are servant of Krishna eternally, but we forgot about that. But even if we remember that sometimes, what it is we are servants of Krishna. But when we surrender to Krishna, he becomes our servant. How Krishna has become Partha Sarthi for Arjuna, how he has become so much of wealth giver to this Kushela, and he started giving so much wealth. Every grain poha he was eating from Kushela. Then his wealth was improving. Kushela's wealth was improving in his village. And also, how he was eating the banana peel from Vidura's wife when he was offered with love and devotion. So Krishna becomes our controller. And Mother Yashoda also, Mother Yashoda was chastising Krishna with the stick and chasing him with the stick and beating him also. And Krishna is crying. So controller is now being controlled by his devotees. This is Krishna. That will not happen anywhere with any other relationship, right? Because he's willingly doing that, and he's ready to do that for us, to become servant of us. We think we are his servant, or we should be servant of him, but he becomes our servant. That's the quality that Krishna possesses, right? So here we see this verse and the next few verses also, that when we are training our mind in Krishna consciousness, it becomes easy. For Ashtanga yogis, you have to become qualified to be, before even you start the practice, you have to become qualified to practice that. But with Bhakti yogi, Vilvamangal Thakur was chasing the prostitute. And as soon as he surrenders to the Lord, he becomes a great acharya. And his guru was prostitute. There is no shame or anything like that. So a lot of times we see gurus, acharyas, they accept gurus, even their gurus are even like from an eagle or a snake or the bee, like that. So there is a honey bee and a fly, house fly. You see, honey bee, when there is honey in the flower, that's where it will go. But the housefly, it will go everywhere, to the rubbish. It will go to the wound on your skin. If there is any skin peel, wound or anything like that on your body, the housefly will go and touch that. It won't see that this is disgusting, I shouldn't touch that or eat that. But that is their food. And pigs, what they do, they eat the stool. So we have to be a honeybee and go and choose the right thing, the only honey. Like that, we see material world, so many material objects, but we see the deities in the temple, even though it is made up of material things like stone or the marble or anything like that, or a brass material. But you see Krishna is present in the deity, then you worship that, then it is spiritual, and it becomes more spiritual because now you are accepting that as spiritual as well, right? And then that's it. That's how we purify ourselves. So seeing Krishna everywhere and also accepting Krishna, seeing Krishna everywhere in the sense seeing everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. So this is simple. Bhakti yoga is simple. So loving everyone is a basic thing from any religion, right? It's not just Bhagavad Gita only teaching it. By the way, Bhagavad Gita is not Hindu religious book. It is actually for every mankind. All right, verse number 6. Bandhuratmanastashya yenatmaivatmanajitah anatmanastu satrutve vartetmaiva satruvat. Here, I'll just read the translation, but here the word Atmanaha or Atma has been repeated, which is, you can see that. Translation: for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Okay, here the first Atma is mind, and the next Atmanaha is the living entity, the Jivas. Okay, and then the third Atma again is the mind, and then again the fourth Atmana is a living entity. And then the Anatmanaha, next to third line, you see, is one who has failed to control the mind. Anatmanas. And then again, Vartate Atma Eva, the very mind, Chatru, it's not Chatru, it's Satru. Satru means enemy. So Bandhuha means friend, and Chatru, Satru means enemy. So that mind, see, this is a intricacy of this Sanskrit also. Unless or until we are learning or studying from bona fide acharyas, like bona fide spiritual masters, representatives of spiritual masters, bona fide, not just any, unless we study from them, we cannot actually understand the context of each and every word. Here, Atma, the word Atma is the same, but the meaning has been repeatedly different, correct? So unless someone tells us that this Atma, first Atma means this, and second Atma means that, and then third Atma means this again, unless someone tells us, how do I know? I don't know myself. I'm just learning from Srila Prabhupada's translation. So unless we know from that bona fide guru, we will interpret, or I should say misinterpret. We will misinterpret naturally. Oh, Atma means, usually Atma means Jiva, soul. So here every Atma representing the same meaning, Jivas, soul. Then what happens? The meaning will itself collapse. Right? That's why we need to study from the proper gurus so that we can understand the real context, the real meaning of the words, each and every word. Okay. So like last verse also, this was again Krishna is telling that, see, the mind, if you control the mind, if you conquer the mind, then it is your friend. If you don't conquer the mind, it is your enemy. Why? Because smoking cigarette is bad, which your intelligence know, right? By learning, studying, seeing, and experiencing. The intelligence knew that smoking is harmful to the body. The parts of the body, organs of the body will die eventually if we do that, correct? We know, all of us know. But the mind is tricking the intelligence and saying that, oh, you know what? If you don't smoke now, then you feel very nervous. You won't be able to think rationally. The mind will tell all these excuses and reasons why you should do that. Or when you wanted to do some exercise, like, bodily exercise, the mind will tell you all the reasons why you should not exercise. Okay, and then you will be very much convinced. And this poor Jivatma, that's Jiva, the soul, so much into this material conditioning, even the soul is pure and it is always Sachidanand, that's full of eternity and knowledge and bliss. But still, the soul, because it's inside the body, of material body, it is so suffering and conditioned and influenced by three modes of material nature. Sattva guna, which is mode of goodness, Rajaguna, which is mode of passion, and Tamoguna, which is mode of ignorance. Because of this constant, interchanging permutation combination of mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance come and go here and there with different sets of combinations, you're so confused. And now we think, I am this body after all, but I am not this body, I'm spirit soul. But no, the mind has tricked you. You are this body and you are this so and so person, and you are the relative of this person, you are an employee of this company. It tells you this all different identifications. Sarva ubadi vinirmuttam. Tatparayana nirmala. So because we are identifying with this body, we think that I am this and that. We're confused about our original constitutional position. So we just are contaminated by all these material thoughts coming into our mind and thinking, even though I know we have this intelligence which is superior to this mind, and the soul is superior to the intelligence, and intelligence superior to the mind, and mind is superior to the senses, and senses are superior to the sense object. But still, what happens is the sense objects are there, senses are seeing, the mind is overpowering everything, controlling everything. Unless we control the mind with the intelligence, and for the intelligence you need knowledge, for knowledge you need to get it from outside, because you yourself don't have knowledge. The soul is eternal and full of knowledge, I understand. Because it's in the material body, just forget about everything. We think if we are in the dog's body, we bark. Because we are in the human body, we are just behaving like human. We are not thinking like we are not this body, we are spirit soul. We are not thinking that way, right? So what happens is we just go with the flow of whatever mind drags us to, we just go, we blindly follow. So the mind is now our master, and we are the servant of the senses also. Godas, instead of Goswami means master of senses, and we have become Godas, master of the, servant of the senses. We become Godas. Go means senses. Go means cow as well, and go means senses also. And if you control the mind, what happens is automatically it is your best friend. If you don't control, because smoking is injurious and it is telling you to smoke still, that means what is it doing? Is mind helping you, helping your body, helping your the lifespan? No, extension of your lifespan, not at all. It's just actually doing the opposite. Means what? Enemy. The mind cannot be our well-wisher unless the mind is trained in the under the superior dictation, like Bhagavad Gita. So for the knowledge you need to get from outside, that is Bhagavad Gita. Correct? All right. So we go to the next verse, number 7. Jitatmanah prashantashya paramatma samahitah shitoshna sugadukeshu tata mana pamonayah tata mana pamanayoha. All right, translation. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Okay, here we are going one level higher in the yoga stage. Okay, even within Ashtanga yoga itself, there is a stage, yoga ruksha and then yoga aruda, right? So we are going advanced stage now. So here, when one has, let's just assume that one has conquered the mind, that what does that mean? Means he has realized Paramatma within. Okay, when you realize Paramatma within, then you are in peace. Why you are at peace? Because you see, we all have these 4 defects: cheating propensity, making mistake, and imperfect senses. And there is one more thing. We'll just check quickly. So the 4 defects. So cheating propensity, becoming illusion also. So what are they? we all have cheating propensity, making mistake, being illusioned, and then what was the other one? Imperfect senses. Okay, all of us have these 4 defects. All jivas, including Brahma and Shiva, everybody. Of course, the degree varies, of course, because they have very great personalities. We shouldn't compare ourselves with those great personalities, and they are devotees of the Lord already. And for us, we still have to become devotees, right? Because unless they are devotees, how can they be given such a great responsibilities to create the material world secondarily? Because everything created by Krishna only, but secondary created as Brahma. And Shiva, how can he destroy the creation and everything? Unless they are empowered by the Lord, they can't do it. To having that empowerment means they have to have some superior qualification, right? So we shouldn't compare ourselves with them. But the point is, they also have those defects. That's the point. We also have those defects. See, cheating means we wanted sometimes when there is opportunity. See, all of us don't go to the bank and take money and rob the bank. We don't do that generally. But if there is, like, say, for example, there is $100 bill, $100 note was fallen on the floor, and there is a possibility that the lady who was standing there, opening the wallet and trying to pay at the counter, but then she left the place. The chances are higher that that could belong to the lady just passing there, passing by. But in your mind, because the lady is not standing next to the $100 note, you are only standing next to it, and no one else is there. Okay, now opportunity is created. This is like that's Kutta Pava Bija Palon Mukaha. There is a verse in Bhatma Purana, right? So there is always, see, whenever there is an inclination, that little inclination, there is a proclivity comes in your heart, in your mind, that you could do that. Like, you never done that in this life. You never robbed, you never stole anything in this life. Okay. But in your previous life, you have done it. So the karmic cycle is repeating itself, correct? When it is repeating, but now you have better knowledge. You don't want to do that, but because you know that stealing is wrong and everything. But in previous life, you were still doing it, but it's coming back. Okay. Now the choice is yours. You can steal or you don't steal. You just honestly do something. So you see this $100 note, there is no one standing next to it. The chances are that belongs to it, but she's right there only. But she's not looking. Obviously, she's talking on the phone, so she is just lost totally about anything. Because if we are on the phone, we don't even remember what's happening in the atmosphere, right? So she's like that standing. What you could do is take the money and go to her and ask, look, does this money belong to you? It's there. And if she is a cheater, she would say yes and take it, even if it doesn't belong to her. But if she is honest, she would say, no, it's not mine. Then you will do what next you have to do, right? But our mind will trick us. No one is watching, $100. And if it was hers, then she would have taken it or something. But I don't think it is hers. It is now mine only. Let me take it. This is cheating propensity. We all have that. But what happens though, our intelligence, when we are in the right stage of mind, under the mode of goodness, sattva-guna, not in the mode of ignorance, tamoguna, or in passion, rajaguna, we will not take the money. Either you can leave the money or take the money and hand over to where it belongs. Or what else you could do? You leave the money or you take the money. Only 2 options, right? When you take the money, other 2 options is you keep the money or give it to someone, the authority. Whoever is authority is there, like a counter or something, or the lady. That's what you could do. Instead of leaving there, because it's $100 money, it might fly and will not become useful to anybody. So better take it and give it to the right person. How do we know who is right? That is different story that we have to analyze as it's different story. But I'm talking about this cheating propensity in everyone's heart, in the mind. Okay. And then there is imperfect senses also. If you look from far, the wall will look like water. If you look from far, the wall, the compound wall from far distance, it will look like water body. Sometimes when it is so hot, in a hot day, you're driving the car, the heat wave will look like, like water, not heat wave, but you will see the heat wave also, but you don't see, it's kind of illusion also. It's imperfect senses and also illusion. See, you see, I have seen this many times when driving the car and it's a hot day and it's a tar road and it's nothing there is no water, nothing, but there is some dark black patch which will look like it's water. And even in desert, in a desert you will see mirage. It looks like water, but there is no water. You keep going, but it keeps looking like it's water there. It's not there. It's an illusion. And also imperfect senses. And you want to hear something, right? Say, for example, you want to hear music or something, and someone is talking on the other side, talking loudly. You can't hear what you're hearing. This is imperfect senses. We don't have anything perfect at all, correct? We have imperfect senses. And we can't listen to the sound which is so less in decibels, that unit, whatever the unit for the sound. And if it is too loud also, we can't hear. It has to be correct decibel, okay? Correct volume only. Otherwise, we don't feel like hearing. So these are the examples of imperfect senses. And making mistakes is, we all make mistakes. I don't have to give an example, right? See, even one time I had to go to my store spectacles shop to collect my glasses. And when I went there, and they made a mistake, right? They delayed, and I was so upset, and I wanted some compensation. So I asked them. So I was supposed to meet a manager, but he wasn't there. And they had to give me a refund for something else as well. So when I went there, the lady who was going to process my refund, actually, I wasn't supposed to get the refund because I already got my refund from another manager the other day. So I just went there for collecting the glasses and asked for the compensation. These were my two tasks that need to be done on the day. That's what I went for. See, I can give you all the examples here. The lady who was assisting me is another manager. She wanted to process the refund. I didn't know that. I thought she is doing something else, and she asked me to put my PIN so the refund will be processed. So I thought it's a compensation. And when I looked at the money, and it's the same amount as my refund that I already received the week before, then I immediately, in a flick of a second, I thought, look, if I tell her nothing and just accept the money, I'm like, whatever the money, I'm richer by that amount, correct? But if I do tell her, then I lose the money. But in the first place, that money doesn't belong to me anyway, because I already got that money from someone else from the same store. So my mind, just for a second, it tricked me like, you know what, don't say anything, get the money, because she is giving you the refund. Why do you have to say that you already got the refund? My intelligence immediately took over and said, oh no, you're not doing that, are you? You're not cheating there. You just tell them just upfront that what happened. And then before I give a chance to my mind, whatever the mind is going to propose to me next, I didn't even give a chance. I immediately told that I already received the refund. I only need compensation. Then the lady was so surprised, and she said, wow, you're so honest. And she told me like 4 times that about my honesty. She appreciated it so much, but I didn't feel attached to that praise compliment, because I was like, well, that's okay, because that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Because I'm following Krishna consciousness, and if I'm cheating, then what kind of follower am I? What kind of follower of Bhagavad Gita if I'm doing something what I'm not supposed to do? So therefore, that wasn't like, for me, it was, the compliment didn't touch my heart at all. I felt like I was just doing what is right, not for the compliment or anything at all. And I felt relieved immediately. As soon as I ignored my mind and moved on with my intelligence to do what is right as per Bhagavad Gita and as per our own conscience, I was relieved. See, this is the next stage. I'm not talking about I'm approaching yoga to the stage or anything. No. I'm just giving you examples for the 4 defects that we have. How she was making a mistake, and I was about to cheat her, and also I was, under the impression that it's a kind of illusion, right? So we are thinking that we wanted to enjoy, and everything is temporary. It's all illusion also. So all these factors are combining. So these are examples of how we are getting tossed by all this material nature, 3 modes of material nature, and these 4 defects. They come and go, but we have to be strong in our intelligence. Otherwise, mind will overpower us. So that is the point. And here in this verse, when we understand that Paramatma is within, and we shouldn't make mistakes, we shouldn't commit mistakes, we should do the right thing, then we are at peace. And also we should understand Paramatma is in our heart, in everyone's heart, and he's taking care of everything. If someone is cheating us, Paramatma is sitting in his heart also, correct? But he hasn't listened to Paramatma's instinct. So that is his problem, and he has to suffer for it. But when we get involved and when we get aggressive or agitated and trying to correct him in a wrong way, in a wrong approach, it's not going to help him or us. Therefore, we have to be careful there also. So we know that Paramatma is there, he'll take care of everything. Then we are automatically peaceful, we are calm. Okay. And what happens when you are under that stage? You see the sukha and dukkha. That means sukha, that is happiness, and dukkha, that sadness or miseries. You will see that equally, like heat and cold, honor and dishonor, everything you see it as equal. You don't feel like disturbed. You don't feel, this is so not good, I am not successful in this thing. Or if I am so successful, then I will become puffed up and say, wow, I have become not puffed up. I've become successful. You behave like you're puffed up, so you're disrespecting others and thinking, look, because of me only we won this game, otherwise we would have lost it. Things like that, these kind of unnecessary agitation is not recommended either by Bhagavad Gita. All right, next verse, 8th verse. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijendriya Yuktati Yuchatta Yogi Samaloshrashma Kanchanaha. Translation: a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it pebbles or stones or gold, as the same. Okay, so here the same meaning only, like last verse, how he sees heat and cold, happiness and distress, and summer and winter, or honor and dishonor. It's a continuation of this verse. He sees like even stones, gold, and pebbles are same. Okay, so there was a devotee who was doing meditation, and that time there was a thief. He was passing by, and he was asking for something very superior or something. I think he was searching for something, and then this yogi or devotee who guided him that there is a bag of valuable gems are in the place. You go and take it, and he went and took it, and then he realized, hang on a minute. If he is giving these valuable possessions just like as if it values nothing, then he must have something more valuable. See, if I have 100 rupees, and if someone wants 1 rupee, I don't mind 1 rupee. Okay, I'll give you. Let's say, for example, I have 1 crore, okay, $1 million or something, for example. And someone asks 1 rupee, it's nothing to me. $1 million, 100 rupees, 1 rupee is, that is something I might hesitate. But if I have $1 million and someone asking for $1, then what do? I'll give it. It's okay. $1 only. I have $1 million. It's okay. But if I have only 2 rupees or $2, and if someone asks $1, it will hurt me. Oh, I only have $2 and you want half of it? No, I can't give. Right? But in this case, this devotee gave a bag of valuable gems at worth millions and millions of dollars, just like that, to this thief. And thief was wondering, then this man would have something more valuable. Let me go and ask what it is. Then I would get that, because I don't want this. Because he rejected it. He rejected those valuable gems for something higher value. So let me get that higher value. He went and approached and he said, okay, nothing. I chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I surrender to the Supreme Lord. I chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord. That is the most valuable thing I can ever have. And that's it. That is my, that is giving me peace and happiness and all the richness I need. I'm happy with that. That's what I have. Then the thief has the thief became devotee as well. Because you see, when we become fully surrendered to the Lord takes care of everything. You need this, Lord will give you. You don't need that, Lord will take it away. We don't have to worry about anything at all. We don't have to plan this A, plan B, and C. No, we just simply leave it to Krishna and he'll take care of everything nicely. All we need to do is desire and endeavor to serve the Lord, have a desire to serve the Lord and his devotees, and take a step towards it. What do I need to do? If you have something in your control, then you can use that for process of practicing this Krishna consciousness. That is simple as that. All right, last verse for today, 6.9. Shuharanam mitrari udasina madhyastha devasya bandhushu shadushu apicha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Translation. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. So one level has forward now, one level advanced now. So he is seeing heat and cold, honor, dishonor, and then next level is gold or stone or pebbles. He's seeing everything equally. Now he has come to the stage seeing people also equally. Now he was seeing the external factors. Now he is seeing the jivatmas, the living entities also equal. See, we see someone is disrespecting us. See, there is a chemical that is produced in our brain that makes you feel miserable. That particular chemical is produced when someone is disrespecting you. Okay. At the same time, when someone is respecting you, there is another chemical is produced to make you so happy when you receive compliments. So extraordinary happiness is coming up, to praise. These type of chemicals are produced when these type of external factors or situations happening to us. Okay. So in this case, I think oxytocin or something, that chemical is called. Okay. So here, this person, this yogi, if someone is disrespecting him or they just insulted him or accused him of something he hasn't done, and this yogi doesn't get disheartened. He just take it easy only. You don't see these kind of people these days generally, but I know one devotee. He's so cool. He's so calm. Whatever the intensity or gravity of the situation is thrown at him, he will keep it cool. He will take it very easily. In the sense, because he's fully surrendered to the Lord, he has left everything to the Lord. He accepts the fact that whatever the situation has thrown at him only happened by the sanction of the Lord. So I don't have to go extra mile to solve the problem that is something not under my control. It doesn't mean sitting lazy and doing nothing. It's not like that, but not that overreacting to situations. You will get ideas, you will get all this rational intelligence from reading Bhagavad Gita, by hearing the case studies of, the Bhagavatam and everything. Then you can apply that in our life also. That's why we are there. When Naranarayana Rishi, who are the sons of, actually they are incarnation of the Lord, Supreme Lord, but for the pastime's sake, they are sons of, they're twins. They're sons of Dakshayani and Dharma. Okay. And they are from Brahma only, from Brahma's lineage. So when they were doing austerity severely at the river of, the Badrika Ashram, near the Badrika Ashram, Lord Indra always gets agitated. When someone is doing nice tapasya, he becomes so insecure that, oh, what if they do that nicely and they get Indra position next time instead of me? They might get the position. Also, I will lose my fame and position, everything. I don't want that to happen. So therefore, what he does usually is send some Apsaras, Ramba, Urvashi, Menaka, like that. That's how he sent Menaka to Vishwamitra Muni also. So he sent Ramba and other Apsaras to Naranarayana Rishi to just attract them with the arrow of Cupid, the love of God, so that he will stop the tapasya. The twins will stop tapasya and they won't become eligible or qualified to become next Indra. So that was his plan. But Naranarayana Rishi, or incarnation of the Lord, Lord himself came as Mohini Murti and attracted all the demons, even Lord Shiva also. And what to speak of this Ramba and this Apsaras, tiny Apsaras. So, and from Lord only they are all born. So Lord won't be attracted like for these type of sensual pleasures, just like jivas, right? So when they came, he was not. Of course, twins were not attracted, and what they did instead, they just tapped their lap, and there was beautiful Apsara came, and her name is Urvashi, and they said, okay, send. Of course, Lord Narayana Rishi, they knew that they all sent by these ladies and beautiful men were sent by Indra only. So what this Naranarayana Rishi did, tapped the lap, and we got this Urvashi, this beautiful Apsara, and gave it as a gift to Indra, and gave it to this whoever came, and said, okay, take Urvashi also with you to your Devalok. And they were like embarrassed. They came to attract Naranarayana Rishi, but the Urvashi was so attractive that even more beautiful than Ramba and other Apsaras. They were like ashamed of their behavior, and they took Urvashi with them and left to heavenly planets. So from these we understand that Bhakti only can protect us from any lusty desires or silly things like making mistakes or cheating propensity, whatever it is. By doing Bhakti Yoga, simply we can overcome all of this, because mind is the one tricking us. It is our enemy, also best friend, but we have to train the mind by practicing Krishna consciousness. That is the lesson we learned from today's class. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. See you in the next class.